talented in his or her own way. If you don't believe us, ask any parent. Some kids are great singers. Others can recite it. Shakespeare at the age of 3. Some solve crossword puzzles faster than their grandfathers. You get the picture. However, there are children whose achievements shock not only their parents, relatives, or neighbors. These boys and girls are so cool that they're known all over the world. But what's the big deal about them? Let's find out. Let's get it on. Stereotypes say that young girls should love fashion, social media, and hanging out with their friends, while staying away from old vehicles, dirty car details, and engine oil. Well, Catherine de Maria hates stereotypes. At the age of 12, she told her parents that she wanted to assemble a car. Not to get one, but to assemble it by herself. Her parents were surprised, of course, but Gary de Maria, the girl's father, was a fan of classic muscle cars. So of course, he agreed. He assumed that his daughter's hobby wouldn't last longer than 3 months, so he bought her a completely destroyed Pontiac Fiero 1986 for $450. By the way, the girl made the money herself from it, babysitting. Why did Catherine want to assemble a car at all? Though, according to her, it was a good idea to learn a lot about cars, and the experience would be useful if she, Phil, decided to pursue a career in engineering. Were you making such serious plans about the future at the age of 12? Soon, it turned out that Catherine, despite her father's worries, was not going to give up what she had started. She persisted in repairing the car with the help of her parents. However, Catherine does not understand why her project caught the attention of so many people, and is very angry that people continue to ask her what it feels like to be a female mechanic. It doesn't really matter that I'm a girl doing this. I mean, I'm able to do it just as well as any other person, says De Maria. And another interesting detail, Catherine decided not only to repair the car, but also to improve its characteristics. For example, instead of the original 2.8-liter engine, she installed a 340-liter V6 engine from a Chevrolet Camaro. Gitanjali Rao, the desire to change the planet and make people's lives better has nothing to do with age. And Gitanjali Rao is great proof of that. This talented girl, born in 2005, became the best young scientist in the US at the age of 12. That's because Gitanjali Rao came up with a quick and inexpensive way to determine the presence of lead in water. With her invention, she wanted to help the city of Flint in Michigan, where many residents suffered from lead contamination in the city's water in 2016. At the time, many of the 100,000 citizens of the city complained about the unusual color and unpleasant smell of the water coming from their taps. After some tests, it turned out that the content of lead in the blood of some Flint citizens, including children, was incredibly high. A state of emergency was declared, and $5 million were allocated to eliminate the contamination. It was a really high-profile case. The idea came to Gitanjali Rao when she saw her parents testing the water with test strips. I realized it wasn't a very reliable process, since they were using test strips. Using test strips would take quite a few tries to get accurate results, says the girl. And then Gitanjali Rao decided to invent her own device, which would be much faster and cheaper for ordinary people. But don't ask us how that's even possible. Maybe some children are just a genius. Her invention is based on a carbon nanotube filter, which determines the presence of lead. The device is also equipped with a Bluetooth transmitter that allows you to see the test results on your smartphone screen. Well, it is the 21st century, and now almost everything is controlled through the smartphone. Gitanjali Rao advises her peers not to give up. Yes, it's not easy to invent something when you're a child, and adults aren't listening to your opinion. My first couple of times, when I was doing my experimentation and tests, I did fail so many times, and it was frustrating. But then I started to learn from my mistakes and realize that failure is just another step to success, said the girl. Gitanjali Rao is a 3-time TEDx speaker. In September 2018, Rao was awarded the United States Environmental Protection Agency President's Environmental Youth Award. And in May 2019, she was awarded the main prize in healthcare for her participation in the TCS Ignite Innovation Student Challenge, thanks to another invention. Gitanjali Rao has several of them. Imagine everything she'll be able to do in her life. Remember the drawings you made when you were a kid? Crooked-legged elephants, 15-wheeled cars, and other strange things. Believe it or not, but some adults' drawing skills haven't actually changed. But 12-year-old Elita Andre is already considered a professional artist. To be more precise, an abstractionist with a surrealistic style. She took up the age of 9 months, and she had her first solo exhibition at the age of 2. Thanks to this, Andre is considered to be the youngest artist who has ever had a personal museum exhibition. But why is this girl so passionate about painting? Of course, her parents were involved, because her father, Michael Andre, is an artist, and her mother, Nika Kalashnikova, and Zemna Ifirda, is a photographer. Elita's creative parents supported their daughter. They provided the full artist with everything necessary for painting, and even built a modern workshop for her. And not in vain, because the little girl is really talented, and in her works, she uses everything she has at hand. According to the artist's website, her work includes paintings, graphics, sculpture, and various installations. Of course, she has some critics. For example, some people believe that the girl doesn't create her own works and that she's just helped by her parents. Nika and Michael deny such comments, and claim that their daughter is obsessed with painting, and they don't interfere at all with their creative process. Today, Elita Andre is a world-renowned artist whose 2011 solo exhibition at Agora Gallery, New York was sold out in 7 days. However, Elita considers her exhibition, named Music of the Infinite at the Academy of Fine Arts Museum in St. Petersburg, to be her most important achievement. Sam Holtz, this 6th grader from Illinois, predicted the winner of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. And it's not that Sam Holtz has the gift of foresight or anything like that. He just keeps a close eye on the sports news. Even though basketball is not Sam's favorite sport, he still managed to make the most accurate prediction. Well, he made some mistakes, but luck was on his side. Holtz beat a group of network basketball analysts, as well as Barack Obama, and celebrities like Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart. By the way, all this took place as part of the ESPN tournament. And for the victory, of course, Sam was entitled to a prize, $20,000, and a trip to the Maui Invitational. But Sam was a minor, so he couldn't qualify for the award. Sorry, champion. Picos Tatum. At what age do people become cowboys? Perhaps you might be picturing a middle-aged man. Then meet Picos Tatum. He isn't even 15, but he's already a veteran of the American Youth Rodeo Association and the star of a couple of documentaries. And of course, he doesn't plan to stop. Picos Tatum is the kind of guy who was born to be a cowboy. You know how some people are born to be doctors or teachers? Well, Picos Tatum was destined to become a cowboy. The father of the young practiced rodeo almost all of his life. His mother grew up on a ranch and also liked rodeo. Picos Tatum's parents met at the Wrangler National Finals rodeo in 21. The wedding took place in May 2003, and 3 years later, their first and only child was born. In search for a name for their son, they'd send to the internet, where they came across the rhyme, mythical cowboy Pico's Bill. So it's no wonder the boy first got on horseback when he was 2 weeks old. As a 1-year-old boy, he used a wooden dowel to herd empty boxes, and at the age of 7, he took part in the American Youth Rodeo Association competition for the first time, and immediately achieved success. In 2013, he won 1 championship, and then, in 2014, he won 3. Pico's Tatum devotes all his free time to training. For example, he constantly exercises with the rope, even at home. His goal is one day to win the PRK All-Around Championship. Sisters Amna and Hamda are the first female kart riders in the United Arab Emirates. It sounds cool enough, but on top of that, they started driving at the age of 14. That's because their father, Khalid Abdullah Al-Kubaizi, is also a famous racer. He was the first athlete from Emirates to take part in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the oldest active sports car race in endurance racing. Of course, with such a father, the girls were constantly listening to the stories of competitions and travels around the world, and they felt the need for speed. Khalid, in turn, noticed that his daughters were pretty good at racing as well. The first was Amna, who had already proved herself at the age of 3. The little girl loved sitting behind the wheel, as if she already knew how to drive, and the function of every pedal and lever. Her younger sister, Praise, also wanted to race and to impress the family, and she began to win from the very first season. Now, both girls have a huge number of trophies, and they win more and more, year after year. With each victory, Amna and Hamda are breaking down barriers and stereotypes, and their parents support them in everything. Kelvin Doe. Kelvin Doe is already 23 years old, but we just had to include him in our list. After all, Kelvin Doe began to amaze people at a very young age. This guy from Sierra Leone, a small country in West Africa, is known for becoming an engineer at the age of 13. Of course, he didn't get a diploma. Kelvin Doe learned it all by himself. Himself, gathering electronic pieces from garbage dumps and building something new out of it. Kelvin Doe. And not only because of his love for all kinds of wires and buttons. In Sierra Leone, there were constant blackouts. Sometimes, people could enjoy electricity for a week, and then sit in dark for the rest of the month. That's why Kelvin Doe made his own battery, capable of powering the surrounding homes. He also created his own radio station in Sierra Leone.
Thanks a ton for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, and drop a comment below. Share it with your friends too, because good stuff's always better shared.